All right. Okay, so it's me, Simon, here in Etobicoke, Toronto. And I wanted to show off this machine that I just built. It is a router planer jig, I guess. So I've taken a router and I've put a large bit on it, and it runs on this two-dimensional frame. And I can put large pieces of wood that are rough, and I can make them perfectly flat, or I can make them perfectly plain, or close enough to that, just by running this at certain heights over it. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you its features, because it was a fun project last summer, and now it's sort of at the point where it's ready to do some production. So I've got this, I went and put a Hitachi router on it, which was the biggest one I could get for the 15 amp wall outlet, and it's just been pinned through onto this metal plate here, and that metal plate is sort of tightened on with these two bits, and then I can actually incrementally change the height with this nut and threaded rod, which has been welded on there. So this plate references to this corner here, and then you tighten it in with those two ones when you're ready to start planing. Yeah, so you can kind of, so when you want to change the height, you loosen off these two. So unfortunately, it's not like you can just plunge cut, so you can't have the machine running when you change the height. So it's really like you have to set it and then start. And then say you wanted to go a little deeper, you'd unscrew it a bit, tighten it back on, nice and tight on both of them. Pair it up. So. Pretty loud. What else is cool about it? Oh, so I'll show you how the rails that it runs on. So I took that's just a piece of plate, and if you'll focus. All right, so those are rollers from sliding door rollers that I just sort of welded to the plate. And then there's one on the bottom, and it's got a threaded nut and a hinge, so I can tighten it up to the piece of flat bar that it's attached to. And then that flat bar, which runs all the way down, and it's the same on the other side, has slotted holes on it, so you can you can very fine-tune the height. And this is a pretty straight piece of metal, and then I can use this string technique to make sure that both rails are in plane with one another, and I'm not going to have boards with any twist in them. So this board hasn't been milled yet. I'll do both sides, and then both sides will be nice and flat, and then I can weld some legs to it, and then we'll have a nice bench. And this is another one. So I just put some Dutchman bow ties in there and some epoxy, so it's still a bit messy. This one's the same. I screwed up. There's a little bit of a bubble in there, but I'll fix that later. So we get most of our wood from, or I've been getting wood from a guy who does tree service in Toronto, and you can't like bring like a lumber mill in their backyard. We don't have a crane, so we just take a chainsaw mill, which is like the most portable way to do it. and you get a surface that looks sort of like this. So it's pretty chowdery, lots of big gashes, and then it's also going to twist and move as it dries out over the next year or two, if you don't have a kiln, which we don't. So this machine is basically what we've built to handle it, and I mean it only costs like $1,000 to make, including like a bit of labor, and that's 30,000 less than you'd have to pay for a computer and an automated one. So I'm pretty happy with it. And then there was another issue, is that because I sort of made a dumb decision and made this like the you can see the dirt that's building up on those rollers. So there's two on the top, and then there's one on the bottom. But they, because we're creating all this sawdust, it just deposits on the top of this rail, and then it starts, bouncing around. So I should have just done the same thing with the big plate of steel and those roller door rollers here. So it's a bit what I'm trying to say is that it's a bit bouncy when you use it like this. So you get a bit of a chowdery kind of chop. Here's a sort of example right here. You can see where it's sort of the bit is sort of bouncing up and down as you go this way, that way. But we found that if we go this way, that you get a much sort of smoother, cleaner cut. But the only problem with that was that when I tried to go this way, that way, there's a bit of bend, right? And that bend goes down to this rail, and it starts pinching up on it, and like it would jam. So you needed two people to actually do the job, which is not ideal, because I mean this is sort of, who wants to sort of be having a whole bunch of sawdust smacked at them for 2 hours straight, So it's better as a one-man job. So I thought, okay, let's put a drive system. So over here, this was the cheapest form I could think of a drive system. So we've got, it's basically like a rack and pinion drive. We've got our bicycle sprocket that runs through these chains, and there's a drive shaft so that when this moves, it goes through the drive shaft and it moves an exact copy on that side, and they both walk on the chain drive. And then so there, I even just took a bicycle axle and then welded that to a plate, and then welded it back on, mounted it in a wooden block, mounted it to that, and this is going to be one of the first tests, but it works pretty well. That's one-handed. I'm super jazzed about that, and there's even a bit of slop. Like it's not even that good yet. I haven't welded this connection. If you focus, there's still a bit of slop in there. So this could even be even better, right? That's just a little finishing nail that's pinning it in there. But yeah, so I'm pretty jazzed with that. Yeah, so I guess I'll do a quick video of making 2 benches from this is cherry. So I got this from Acton, from a guy who has a website called Canadian Woodworks, and it's got heaps and heaps of wood. So I got, yeah, this is going to look really nice when it's finished, I think. So I've left the bark on this side, and I'm going to take it off that side because I don't want people tearing up their clothing when they sit down.